What up, Ray?
Hey, Lou. Whatever.
Man,
I was
we were all on, and I was going to go live, and it cut off. It like kicked everybody off.
I was in some kind of crowdcast hell. I came on. I saw the show, and I saw about a minute of it, and then I saw it wasn't recognizing me, so I got off. And when I came on, I kept seeing that minute repeating itself like a past show.
So that was everybody seeing the same thing you were.
It was Itsy.
I hear you, Lou.
You hear me? It's denying me access.
All right. Did you?
It says it appears you've already denied access from this browser to watch this video. I don't know what
you see. People on the
You might
screen
have
now, Jack.
You might have to get out of the browser. Close
That's
the browser.
not Ray Guarino from Motormouth Radio. He's from Nassau Community College that I was telling you about
All right,
before.
let me try that.
Ray's a good guy.
Hey, Tori, tell him we'll get him in a minute as soon as we get Lou back up.
Yeah, I thought maybe since I was logged in last week differently, I thought maybe that kind of locked me out. I don't know what it did, but it was weird.
Right.
Definitely didn't like me.
Oh, you know what? When you logged in, it probably still had you on my account.
Actually, no, because I was able to log in. I put my name in, and I saw that it said Motormouth Ray is logged in. So it did show me as being logged in. It just, I can't even tell you what the hell happened. I don't know. I was just, again, pushing buttons, and the software doesn't seem too intuitive to, trying to figure it out.
All right, I see.
Hey, Tori.
I see Jack in here. So, one of you two got to jump out because we're gonna get Lou in and Jack.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to go first, Ray, this time, or?
I'll jump out. What the heck? Because let me go. What the hell am I going to do? That share screen, close video. Okay. All right. I'll be on the side.
See you in a little bit.
All right, I'm getting. Hold on, Lou's coming in, and let's see Jack. All right, I think we're good. I don't know what happened, dude. It cut off and said.
See, I still can't get it.
Are you on your tablet, Lou, or your?
No, I'm trying to get on. It says it's not letting me in. I click on accept and join. It says I'm on, but it's not letting me in.
Nothing personal.
This fucking thing never likes me, Jack. It never likes me.
You can't
It
fucking.
never likes me.
I said with all due respect. No, you're an
It's a communist plot.
We just want to look at your face. Lou, we just want to look at your face.
That's fine.
Or go grab your tablet.
I'm powering it up now.
All right. Okay, everybody. This is Plan in Traffic. Sorry it's taking us so long to get connected here. But my name is Louis Lee from All Ins Magazine. And I'd like to welcome everybody in the live YouTube channel. Tell all your friends and share it right now. And we have special guest, Jack Beckman, which Jack never remembers me. We see him 3 times a year.
Actually, Louis, you still owe me money. I do remember you.
You're right. Tori, go ahead. Tell them who you are.
Hey, everybody. I'm Tori DeBlasi from Long Island, New York. And for all your rear end needs, not to worry. I have all the essentials for your rear differential.
All right, Jack.
Tell
them who you are. Yeah. Hey, this free market.
I just did.
Free market.
It's your show.
It's not mine. I just hang out here, so
it won't be after this. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to charge him. Go ahead, Jack. Tell them who you are and where you're from and what you do.
Jack Beckman. I live in Norco, California, so that is about an hour east of Los Angeles. I was born and raised in the San Fernando Valley. I don't live too far from that right now. I'm a full-time drag racer. It was my hobby for 20 years. I fixed elevators to make a living to go racing. Now they pay me not to touch the race car. So I drive the Infinite Hero Nitro Funny Car for Don Schumacher Racing. And we are at 24 NHRA races a year. It's a pretty cool gig.
Yeah, I bet.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Now, I got a video up here, which I'm going to put on right now.
This
Oh,
isn't
wait.
from 20 years ago, is it?
No, that's
I-
no.
I explicitly told Lou not to use that video.
No, this is the one when you got the record.
That's the one I prefer to see. Thanks, Lou. Good job.
All right, hold on 1 second. Hey, let the people see it. Oh wait, we can't because we got too many people on. Shoot.
Oh, I'll kick me off. Hold on. It's okay.
All right.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, this is a new system, Jack. We can't do all the
As
good
long as we
stuff.
kick
used
all
to
of us off, we can have a conversation, huh?
do. Right? Yeah, we can talk on the phone. All right, let's see what we got here. Can everybody see it? Talk us through it, Jack.
You think my eyes are that good? That's
Oh, yeah.
Sonoma.
Yeah.
Yep, and my big head is blocking it right now. If it's the one I think it is, it's back in 2015 when we first laid the headers back. And you know what happens with anything performance related when you run under standardized rules packages? Yeah, this is that event. Things stagnate. You know, you come up against a performance wall and improvements become incremental. And then in 2015 with Jimmy Prock, Chris Cunningham, and John Medlin, we laid the headers back about 6 degrees, and it just changed everything. It was a change that these new aerodynamic packages were ready for. And the record at the time was 3.96. We went out and we went 392 at Sonoma. We went 391 at Seattle the next weekend. We went 390 the following weekend at Brainerd. And that car, that Infinite Hero Dodge Charger, was so significant, it got voted by NHRA fans into the top 10 funny cars of all time. And I mean, we're comparing it to number one was Jungle Jim Lieberman, number two was Don Prudhomme's Army Monza, and we were in the top 10. That's how cool those performance enhancements were.
Wow, that's crazy. So
That's
let
what
me
I.
ask this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could you feel the difference after the run? I mean, did you say
No.
like, wait a minute, something went funny?
To put it in perspective, and top fuel cars have a little higher G acceleration than funny cars for two reasons. They're 250 pounds lighter, and since the engine sits virtually over the rear tires, they can just feed more power sooner than we can. They're the same power plants, but a funny car will pull about 4.4 Gs for the first 80 feet of the run. And you think, wow, as it tapers down to 3.5 Gs, your subconscious is just about to tell you, I got this. And then we start stacking the ignition timing and the clutch back in, and it goes up to 5.4 Gs at 330 feet. And that's when you say out loud, I don't got this. But the impressive runs are always the runs that feel like they're shoving you into the trunk from 350 to 500 feet. So I knew it was a good run, but I can't tell you the difference between 200ths of a second or 2 miles an hour. What the interesting thing is when we shortened the racetracks in 2008 from 1,320 feet back to 1,000 feet, you can sneak a peek at the scoreboards a lot of times. So as I go by, I hit the chutes, lift off the throttle, and I'll look up real quick, and I saw that 392 come up.
Wow, that's crazy.
Really impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you, and thank you.
I'm looking to see if Lou jumped back on yet. He's getting on his tablet, I think.
I think he's got the wrong number.
Yeah. We tricked him. We tricked him. So what do you got in the background? You got that's the El Camino you were telling us about at SEMA.
That is my first car. Yeah, it's a 68 SS 396 El Camino. My dad bought the car when I was 13. I bought it from him when I was 15. I took my driving test on my 16th birthday in that car. And to put it in perspective, I am not 16 anymore. So this car, this December, will have been in my family for 40 years. My dad was the second owner, and it hasn't run for 22 years. It was my first race car ever. When I was in the Air Force, I took it to Lubbock, Texas in 1986 and went 1503 at 93 miles an hour. That was, or 1506 at 93 miles an hour. That was my first run down a drag strip ever. I've gone quicker and faster since then. You guys just showed that. But the car sat so long that honest to God, I didn't know what I was going to do with it anymore. I'm married. I've got kids. I've got a job where I'm traveling all the time. And it was in my buddy's storage building for 3 years. And I built this garage with my friend Jerry, which means I handed him all the tools and he built this garage. And it's 440 square feet. It's nothing big, but My dragster that I won the Super Comp Championship with in 2003, the Blackbird, was taking up the garage. And the NHRA Museum wanted to take the dragster, so it freed up the space. I brought the El Camino home. I opened the glove compartment, and there is my temporary driver's license from June 28th, 1982, and the memories just came flooding back. My mom's been gone for 25 years. She drove this car. My dad's 81 living in Texas. He drove this car. I'm never going to have a vehicle that has this kind of memories again.
Yeah.
I'd sneak it out when I was 15. I hope my dad's not watching this show. Disconnect the speedometer. You know, I mean, there's memories with this thing, the drive-in movies, the dates, just hanging out with your buddies after school. And I just wanted to put it back as a decent street car. And then all these companies started coming on board and providing products. John Hotchkiss himself came over here and he said, this is perfect. We will film this content for our website. I'll give you all the equipment. Well, that just took the build from this standard up to here. And then a bunch of other companies came on board, Eddie Motorsports, Flowmaster, MSD, and I got a lot of free stuff. So then I realized I've got to do justice to all these people. So I've tried to chronicle it on my website. If you guys want to go on gofastjack.com, you can see all the pictures. And you know, what's interesting is I did a lot of this stuff 30 years ago. And I am no more patient today than I was 30 years ago. I don't throw tools. I don't kick the car. But I've found that the curse words under your breath, I haven't matured to the point where I've stopped doing that. But I just fired it up for the first time last night. And sounds bitchin'. Sounds totally cool. It's got a Comp Cam's hydraulic roller cam in it. And it's a 403 cubic inch engine. It's got Edelbrock heads on it. And we dynoed it at Bob Lambeck's. It made 495 horsepower in pump gas, which is more than I thought it was going to be. So it's going to be a fun car. And I'm just about ready. I think tomorrow I'll back it out of the garage, get everything set, and then I'm leaving for Vegas tomorrow. So hopefully between the Vegas and Houston races, I can get this thing out, get the air conditioning charged. I got a whole vintage air set up in it, get the alignment done. And my goal is a car show in right by Pomona Raceway on the 20th of this month. I think that'd be a great time to unveil the thing.
Yeah. Wow. That is sweet. It looks good back there.
Oh, I love it.
It's pretty cool. By the way, guys, in case you can't tell, it's yellow. Some people are confused.
Pretty close to yellow.
It's yellow.
Hey, Jack, I'm Ray Guarino from Motormouth Radio in Long Island.
Hi, Ray.
Good to meet you. And listen, with all the racing questions and your illustrious career aside, I have to ask you, what kind of cooling fans are you using in the El Camino with the vintage air?
I've got a full aluminum radiator. Matson Radiators, Jack Matson, and his shop's actually right by Knott's Berry Farm. Built the whole thing, and it's got two Spall fans on it, the big 1300 CFM ones. The cool thing is, and this project kind of started 5 years ago. Joe Pando at MSD said, this atomic fuel injection unit bolts right on in place of the carburetor. You should put it on your car. So he sent me one, and it sat for 3 years.
Wow.
I didn't really have a goal with the car. So I kind of built the car around this MSD fuel injection unit, and that thing controls the fans independently. You'll never change jets again. You got this little handheld that you can set up air fuel ratios. I mean, it's phenomenal. I did all this stuff 30 years ago, but the technology has come so far. I literally had to re-educate myself. I started buying all the hot rod magazines again and reading up on what's new and what's out there. My buddy Carson Lev kind of walked me through step by step the different vendors that are doing the different things. So the cool thing is I should have a car that handles good, accelerates nice. It's got heat and AC. Quiet Ride did sent me all the insulation kit. I did lizard skin inside and outside the car. So the funny thing is you do all these things to make the car quiet, and then I stick this loud 3-inch Flowmaster exhaust on it to make it super loud. I don't quite understand that, but it should sound and feel pretty cool.
Well, I have to say you're in the right house tonight, because every one of us here has cars that are very similar to that with our own personal stories, and we're all just as affected by the history of it. So, yeah, you're in amongst friends.
Well, it's funny, Ray, because Tori and I were talking during this 20 minutes where we couldn't figure out how to work the application here. Sorry, everybody, for the delay. But yeah, cars are, I mean, they're really no more than a chunk of steel and rubber and alloys and interior pieces, but they just represent so much more. They're a connection to your past. They're a connection to friends, family. They represent a time in your life when things were different. And a lot of times we wax philosophical and we think everything was better back then. But this car has been a constant in my life. I have spent thousands of hours thinking about or working on this car, and it hasn't been a waste of time. It's been very fulfilling. It's helped me stay determined, motivated, ambitious. I mean, it just represents essentially a big part of who I am. I'm a car guy. I'm a hands-on guy. I'm a hot rod guy. I'm a drag racer. And a lot of it's because of this car.
You know, Tori and I share some very, very similar stories with our cars. And I just did a restoration on my Pontiac, and I've had the car since 1975. So as I'm pulling this interior out, I'm finding gum wrappers and like old credit card. And I know they were all from me, you know, from the last, 40 something years. And I saved them all. I don't know why. I just saved them on the workbench, but yeah, it's your history.
That's because you're a hoarder, Ray. There's places you can go for that therapy.
Who told them? Tori, was it you?
Yeah.
Hey,
that's what a glove box is for. That's all I'm saying.
It was Tori.
hey, Jack, that banner hanging behind him is just a blocker. He has every part that you need somewhere close by.
Yeah.
Or a tool.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and as I'm doing this stuff, it's hard to part with the original parts. A lot of the things on this car, I've reused the originals.
Thank you.
The rod, the rod from the throttle pedal, underneath the throttle pedal, I reused the factory original. OPG provided so many nice new replacement parts, but in a lot of cases I just wanted that nostalgia. I used the old stock seats, which hadn't been in this car since 1986. I remember my buddy and I drove his Fiero 100 miles from the Air Force Base to Super Shops in Lubbock, Texas. I bought a plastic seat and sat on the regular seat in his Fiero, scraping the ceiling for 100 miles, and we did that 2 weekends in a row.
Right.
Well, I wanted a throwback, so I took the original seats, TMI, not too much information, the interior company, TMI, recovered those, and we made them a little newer with raised bolsters and some nice stuff, but I wanted that connection to the originality there. And I've just kind of applied my flavor to everything I've touched on this car. It wasn't intended to be a frame off resto, but I got to the point, I finally bit the bullet. I took the frame up to Eddie Motorsports. They sandblasted and powder coated the thing. And you know, what I was thinking was going to be a 5-month project, I'm at 38 months now. The car literally went 900 miles up to Idaho for paint. My buddy Neil had always volunteered to paint it, and well, I didn't think it was going to be necessary. I had a little bed fire, and that led to the repaint. And I mean, he just did a show quality paint job. And the people that come over said, I hope you're not going to be too afraid to drive this thing because it's so nice. And I don't think I will be. I think I'm not talking about if you own a $9 million Daytona, you know, that's like a 1 of 7 and it really is a museum piece. This is a 1968 muscle car. It was designed to be enjoyed. I can't imagine loading it into an enclosed trailer, towing it to a car show, unloading it in the lawn chairs, and it never gets driven. I built it to go cruise to Bob's Big Boy and hang out in a parking lot with a bunch of enthusiasts, and then maybe drive to Fontana Dragway twice a year and bracket race the thing.
Those are words to live by. You know, I'm driving a car that's in prime right now, and I have a deal with the guy I work for where he's going to paint the car for me. And he just brought it up again the other day. And as soon as he says that to me, I cringe because I'm afraid as soon as it's painted, I'm not going to want to take it out. And not because, just because of everybody else, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, fortunately, I've already added some chips and scratches myself, Ray, not intentionally, but it's already got its first scratch. Yeah. You know, and in hindsight, I forgot how difficult it was putting the car back together after paint. You know, I did it 30 years ago, but obviously I was more ambitious or maybe more intelligent back then. Right. But, you know, it came back from Neil Ramey's in Idaho, November 29th last year. So it was a year and 4 months that I've been putting this thing back together. And then there's always something that you forgot to do before it was painted. So you watch the Chip Foose and the Kindig shows, and you realize why these guys put everything together in bare metal and fit everything before they pull it off the plate and coat. And even if you do that, there's still stuff that doesn't fit when you put it back together.
Yeah. It's the truth.
Yeah, we were just talking
about drilling the hole.
We were just talking about another fellow. We were talking about finishing a car, and I said years ago, I was having another car done, Challenger. And my buddy said, the body guy says, "Give me the wheel arch moldings." You know, I said, "You're doing rough body work. What do you mean?" He goes, "No, I'm going to need them." He said, the idea is when I'm doing the rough body work, I want those moldings so I can make the fender openings fit to them, because they're never the same. They're never right. And if you're going to buy,
You're exactly right. And I'm sorry, right? But it's so easy to get frustrated at these remanufactured parts.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, I've taken out a lot of the original parts off this car. They didn't fit either.
That's right.
You got to remember, these
That's
things
right.
went down an assembly line with a lot of tolerances, and good enough was good enough back then. A lot of the resto parts are better than the originals. And I've just kind of, fortunately, because this car was pretty cherry, it was built in Fremont, California. To the best of my knowledge, it's never left California except when I took it to New Mexico in the Air Force. It was a rust-free car, except at the bottom of the fenders where the water drains into the cowl, and that's normal.
Right.
So I didn't have to deal with a lot of that. The original trim came off pretty easy. A lot of it I had restored 30 years ago. So I got to mix and match and choose the best of the new resto stuff from OPG and keeping some originality from the 1968 GM parts.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing. They were built like as Chevys and Fords and Chryslers, but we're restoring them like they're Maseratis and Bugattis and Rolls Royces.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You know?
Yeah, good enough is not good enough.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, though. You know, back in the day, they were made to be general transportation. General Motors, in their wildest dreams, didn't think that 50 years later we would be, you know, doing, you know, door gaps
Right.
and lines, and you know, what is it, 3/16 for a door gap now?
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Yeah, but-
sometimes you had
Yeah, no, Tori. It's a Home Depot paint stick sideways, right?
Yeah.
Probably about 3/16. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly 3/16.
Right.
You're right. Yeah, but the other thing is, the more you dig into these cars, the more impressed I am with the factory. You know, I guess it takes back then it took about 4 years of lead time to engineer and produce a new car. But when you look at these body stampings and how they joined them, and the adjustments, say, in the door hinges to get the gaps right, and the adjustment in the molding, they did a pretty damn good job of putting
Agreed.
a product out there that looks nice.
Yeah. And it had style in the body. You know what I mean?
Yes, it did. It wasn't the 1980s, was it, Lewis?
Yeah.
I was just watching Barrett Jackson last night, and they had a top shot of a 68 Caddy DeVille, a convertible, and they were commenting on how the lines of the car were so like masculine, and you know, we grew up with those cars, and and I've owned Cadillacs, and for the first time I saw it in a new light. I'm like, damn, you're right. That car is beautiful with the way they sculpted it. You know, when you're so close to something, you don't really realize it. But yeah,
definitely. Yeah. In retrospect, you look back and like, those guys got it.
Yeah.
They marched to different drummers back then, but they got it.
yeah. So let me ask you a question.
Except the Edsel.
Well, except the Edsel, right? And a
Yeah.
couple of rambles I could think of too. When you stopped driving the El Camino, what took its place so many years ago?
Great question. So I bracket when I got out of the Air Force in '88, I bracket raced the car regularly. In '91, my girlfriend at the time and I went in halves on a used dragster, and I ran that as much as possible. I bought her out of it. In '94, I ordered a brand new dragster, which became the Blackbird, which is the one in the NHRA Museum that I had won the Super Comp Championship in '03. And then I drove anything that anybody would let me sit in, anything. And a lot of those rides I paid for because I wasn't rich. My dad wasn't famous. The only way a guy like me is going to ever even have a remote chance of getting up into the professional leagues. Then in '97, I paid out of pocket, went to the Frank Hawley Drag Racing School, upgraded my license to top alcohol dragster. And that gave me an opportunity to have a couple of rides out there. So you see where this is going. I just kind of got further and further away from an 11-second bracket car.
Yeah.
But I never had a last race in the El Camino. In other words, there was never a time that I said, okay, I'm parking this thing now. I remember, I'm going to say the last time I raced it was probably '96. And then I said, okay, I'll put it back on the street now. And I'd taken the sway bars off. It had 90-10 shocks, it had electric water pump drive, a lot of things that weren't conducive to driving it on the street. So I put an exhaust system back on it, put 6 miles on it, put brand new Mickey Thompson treaded rear tires on it. And then it sat for 24 years or wherever we're at now. I never intended it to do that.
It's amazing. And that's like something that Mark Warman always shows on his show. He shows like the date.
Love that show.
I just had him on a radio show 2 weeks ago. He's a great guy, but he'll do like when the car was born and when it died, and then it was reborn.
Yeah, no, I love that show, and the wild thing about that is a lot of these cars, time goes by fast, especially when you get older. You know, when you're my kids are 7 and 12, and a week to them lasts 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, and to me, a year lasts about a week. But this car is 51 years old. When I got it, it was an old car. And it was 11 years old.
Yeah.
It would be like buying a 2008 car right now, which doesn't sound that old to me.
Right.
No.
I know. When I got my Pontiac, it was 10 years old, and to me, it was a '60s car.
That was old.
It was an old car.
Yeah,
at the
but
time,
if you look at a lot of the graveyard cars, they had a 13-year lifespan, then sat for 35 years.
The thing that impressed me with what you said was, just like in life, and I tell this to my wife and my kids all the time, it's like you never know when the lightning bolt's going to hit. So you never know, like, when was the last time you did fill in the blank, you know, and like the same thing.
Yeah.
Last time you drove the car, you had
And-
good intentions, but
Yeah.
it sat for 20 years.
But yeah, there's going to be a last time that you do a lot of things. And the idea is to be as old as you can before you cross running off your list. But this car literally is a time machine. Literally. Like, I cannot wait to get in this thing, turn Boston on the stereo, and go cruising through Bob's Big Boy, because that literally will transport me back 35 years in my life like that. And just to these memories that there's nothing else. If you're a car guy, I don't need to explain. There's nothing else that can shove you back in time that quick. And especially for me, it's the exact same car. Now, you don't even have to have the same car. It's just that V8 rumble. There's just something about it. You know, my buddy was over yesterday when we fired the car up for the first time, and he said, man, I don't know about you, but that loud exhaust, push rod V8, rumpety camshaft. I said, no, to me, it's music. It just hits a chord in my body that I love. No knock on the import guys. No knock on the turbo crowd. That sound isn't as pleasing to me.
You know, Jack, I say this all the time on the radio, and to anybody who'll listen, when I get in my Pontiac now and I drive out of my road, I hit Sunrise Highway. As soon as I pull second gear in that thing with the Foghat 8-track in, I always say to people, it's like 30
That's
years.
my man.
30 years literally flies off my shoulders. You know, my
Yep.
hair is long and my thoughts are short again. And I'm just, because I'm seeing the same hood and the same fenders that I looked at, you know, 30, 40 years ago. It's
Well, you know,
just
amazing.
you know that music and cars are the two things that always bring back memories.
Absolutely.
If you hear a song, you be like, man, I remember exactly what I was doing 40 years ago.
Right. It's true.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Same way with a car. Like I seen a car show the other day, and it reminded me of my mom's car. I'm like, my mom, I remember when she brought this car home.
Yeah.
It's funny how I can't remember directions to get to my house with GPS. But you could put a song on that you haven't heard in 10 years.
Yep.
All the lyrics are stuck in the back of your head.
Yeah.
Which is why I can't remember how to get to my house with GPS.
Right. That's very true.
Well, guys, check this out though. My '68 Camaro, the very same one. I remember the day I put my first stereo in there, and the tape that I took out to put in there was Boston Third Stage.
Oh, there you go.
That was the first tape I put in there to make sure the tape player worked.
Yeah.
The '68 Camaro.
That would have been 1987.
That's around it. Yeah. Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Is that hysterical?
Or 88. Yeah, right. Yeah, amazing.
When we had cassettes, I was always afraid of, like, you'd grab one of your favorites, and I'd always say, "Oh, wait a minute! But if it eats it, I don't want it to eat the good one. So give me something that's like, you know, a piece of crap tape."
I made copies of the good ones to put on the TDKs to put in the car. So if anything happened to it, I had the original to make another copy.
I was
of
just
it.
telling a guy just today. I'm a big vinyl guy. I listen to albums almost every day. I always have. I just never really. They say the vinyl craze is coming back. It never left with me. It's always been alive.
Yeah.
I just told the guy I have albums, and I just played one the other day that I bought brand new, you know, back in the late 70s into the early mid 80s that I played once, and now I just listened to it again. And they said it's only once. I was like, yeah, because I would take the new album and then tape it. I'd make a tape copy of it, and then
Right. I did all the same stuff. The difference is I still got all the tapes in the other garage. When I was in the Air Force, I would borrow. The great thing about being in the military is you're exposed to so many different tastes. In other words, one person can only live so much of their life. It's not till you get exposed to people that have had different upbringings and different surroundings, and you get exposed to their lives that you get more well-rounded. So I got exposed to so much good music. As long as you had classic rock and long hair.
Yeah, right.
That's my category for music. and I would make cassette tapes out of all that. I hate to say this, but 31 years later, I still got the tapes. I don't think they sound nearly as good as they did in the day.
No, But I'll tell you something. What I did then is some of the reasons I didn't play the albums is because after that I transitioned and bought all those albums again on CD. So I have a wall of CDs next to the stereo that I still play, and and I have a cassette that I actually garbage picked. I saw a cassette deck out on the curb one day, and I said that looks really nice. It was a dual cassette deck, so I grabbed it, and I play with electronics, so I took it home and fiddled with it, and it worked. So I threw it in the garage, and now I'm playing the old cassettes again.
Yeah.
So the wild thing with this car, it's all Bluetooth, which actually was much cheaper. I didn't even put a head unit in it, no CD. It's literally you pick a song on your phone and tell it to play on your car stereo. So 30 years ago, guys, if somebody would have told us, hey, eventually you won't even need a CD, it'll be ancient technology, you would have thought they were high.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And where'd you get the stuff? Because that's
and yet we still like the sound of a pushrod V8.
That's right.
Love it.
I told my
Love
daughter last night over dinner, we were talking about phones and technology, and she's, in her early 20s. And I said, we're living Star Trek. I said, my phone it's a communicator. It's Kirk's transponder. I can just talk to anybody and see them like at any time of the day, whatever I want. It's like, if you told me this when I was 18 or 20, I'd tell you, yeah, get out of here, you're high, right?
Yeah. George Jetson.
And here we are. Well, I still want the damn flying car. I'm still waiting for that.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Remember when pagers were state of the art?
Yes.
Wait. The pager that had the writing come across.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we sound like four old guys.
Right.
You know
we
that?
are. Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, maybe that's because,
Well, you know what, though? I mean, I got my 68 Camaro in 86, okay? So in 86, the car was how many years old? 18 years
18.
old. Now,
boom.
I still feel like I'm 18, except I don't look like I did when I was 18, but the car still does, though.
Just don't look in the mirror. You'll feel the same.
Well, I still see the slender young man, muscular build, full head of hair, I still see that guy. I don't know where he is, but I still see him. Well, how about this, though? 55 Chevy. Think about this. When I started with the old car magazine in 79, 80, I remember the 25th anniversary of the 55 Chevy.
Yeah.
And now the 55 Chevy is like 60-something years old.
That's right.
Yeah, well,
That blows my mind now.
Yeah, now a 25-year-old car is a 1994.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's not quite a classic.
I have a 96 Impala Super Sport sitting in my driveway that I bought new, and I figured, okay, I'll keep this forever. And that car is over 20 years old already. I'm like,
yeah, so that's a 23-year-old car.
damn.
But time's different when you get older. Yeah, and somebody explained it really good. When you're 10 years old, 1 year is 10% of your life. When you're 50 years old, 1 year is 2% of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Time is malleable, and it's all about perspective.
It's true.
Yep.
It's been scaring the hell out of me too.
Goes way too fast.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, that's why we all need to get our hands dirty on something like this. And hot rodding, the dichotomy of this is there's times that I'm thinking the smartest people in the world buy the car for 30 cents on the dollar on Craigslist, right? Let somebody else bust their knuckles and spend 3 years ordering the wrong parts. For me, I didn't have a choice. This car was my first car, and I didn't have the money to farm it out to anybody else. And frankly, there's a pride in ownership, and there's a pride in doing that journey, right? So hot rodding is a journey and a destination. The destination is your car's running and you can go do things with it, but the journey never ends because, Tori, we were talking earlier, you're always going to think of something you want to upgrade or change on the car.
They're never done.
Right.
Never.
Well, that's the thing. You're right, and I've told people too. I've been inside every housing. I've touched every screw. I even took the light switch apart, the headlight switch apart. I took everything apart in that car because I wouldn't have it any other way. And I would come in out of the garage. It was in the summer. I was filthy from head to toe, and I was just beaten. My wife said, "You look like hell." She goes, "But you're smiling." I'm like, "Damn right, I'm smiling because I'm having the best time of my life."
There's no racers or hot rod builders that have an addiction because, frankly, you don't have the time or money for another addiction.
Yeah.
That car takes everything, and it takes a whole lot of focus and time management. It just doesn't leave a lot of shenanigan time after that.
Oh yeah, no, and she was happy. She's like, "Well, I guess you're not going out anywhere. You're not going cruising. Not going out." Well, hell no, I'm gonna take a shower. I'm gonna fall asleep.
I'm gonna sleep well. Yeah,
sleep outside on the deck. It's nice out. I'll sleep after dinner. You're right, and I think if more people had a hobby like that, they'd be in less trouble. It's for me, there's something. I have to engage my hands to disengage the brain.
Yeah, busy hands, busy mind. I'm just looking at my phone, says 15% battery. I wonder what that equates to in time wise for doing your show.
Yeah.
You probably make it to 10.
Either that or
Yeah.
plug it in.
Well, Jack, we're gonna have you on again when Lou gets everything squared away. So think of this as a dry run. We're gonna do it again, in about a month. And this way, you get a chance to talk to Lou. And you're such a great guest. I just love talking to you. I mean, I could spend hours with you on the phone. So
Yeah, boy, is Lou going to be pissed when he finds out the show's over, huh?
Yeah.
Now, sometimes it happens, computers, they give you trouble, and, sometimes it goes really smooth, and other times you have a night like tonight. But you know what? Still a great night. You're still a great guest. So
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't be happier. So that El Camino in the background, it's so similar to all of our lives, like Ray said before.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back in time, and what do you have? Your first memories. My 68 Camaro when I was a kid, I was always under it, either under the car or under the hood, doing something to it.
Yeah.
And even when the car was, air quotes, done, I became a fireman. And even in the firehouse, what was I doing? I was working on my car, other guys' cars.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we did, So there's always something up on jack stands behind the tower ladder.
Yeah.
I got to tell you guys a little piece of my history on cars. When I was younger, I was poor. So I bought raggedy cars, fixed them so I could drive them. So I ran into some money, and then I was like, well, I don't need those cars no more. I could buy a nicer car. So I bought like a whole driveway full of cars, and I sold stuff that I wish I would have kept because, hey, I got a newer car.
Yeah.
So as I got older, then I had kids, and I was like, wow, I should have kept those cars. I got rid of them because I got money, and those are the cars I should have kept is the ones I started out with, working on.
Yeah.
So
Well, listen, the next interview, I want Lewis to expand on the phrase, I ran into this bunch of money.
Yeah, right.
I'd like to know how you did that. He just kind of glossed over that. That's the interesting part.
Good point. I was
the
wondering
money
about
just
that.
happened to fall into
Yeah.
my hands here.
Yeah, it was in the trunk of
Right.
one of those cars. Yeah, growing up, I didn't have a car. If I couldn't build it or repair it, I didn't drive it. I was walking again. Take out the bicycle. I got to ask you,
My dad paid $1,000 for this car, bought it from the original owner. They worked together at Lockheed.
okay?
That was in 1979. When I bought it from him in 1981, I paid $1,000 for it. I had a paper route. I had two paper routes. I took a third paper route to get extra monthly income so I could pay him off on time for this thing.
Right.
It ain't for sale for $1,000.
No.
when I'm done.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
no.
give you $2,000 for it.
Yeah. Well, when you run into a bunch of money, Lewis, you let me
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
Huh?
Was it originally yellow, or did you change the color?
No, it was the original owner had repainted it a horrible brown that was already tattered by the time we bought it. I mean, this guy drove the wheels off it. It was a 325 horse 396,
Okay, yeah.
and it went to 194,000 miles
Nice.
before I spun 3 main bearings street racing it. And the block that's in it now is actually, I think, out of a 67 Impala. But the car was brown until I had it painted in 91, and I went with yellow. And let me tell you, there's 100 shades of yellow I can't stand.
Yeah.
And I had to look long and hard and deep and finally found one. So when
Yeah.
it was time to repaint it, I had the paint code for Neil. And he said, it's not a relevant paint code anymore. They don't mix them that way anymore. So we drove around to dealerships. We looked at cars. I didn't like any of them. And I was getting a little bit depressed. So he sprayed out some color samples. I'm like, a little of this, a little of that, kept mixing them. We'd hold them up to the door jambs where the paint hadn't faded. And finally we got one. I'm like, I like that one. He painted the car, and I was biting my nails because a lot of times it looks good on a paint swatch and looks terrible on a car.
True.
Yeah.
A lot of times the same color looks good on a Ferrari, looks terrible on a van.
Absolutely.
So it came out perfect. And he said, okay, we got to name this paint.
Mm.
And just as a joke, I said, let's call it Yellow Jacket. He said, that's it. That's the name of this paint color.
Nice.
Perfect. What was the original as-built color for that car when it came off the line?
Gold, but it was a weird gold. You know how a lot of times they'd have colors that just didn't make any sense for the way the car looked.
Right.
So it was this muted, I guess awful is a good adjective.
Yeah.
It was just an awful gold with a dark saddle interior. And I remember you can't find the dark saddle replacement stuff for this because apparently it was an odd combination. So I went when I rebuilt it this time, and OPG did all the interior parts. I just went with black.
Right.
It looks way better having a
Oh,
black
with yellow,
interior.
yeah. No, my
Yeah.
buddy's GTO is the same thing. It's a 70, and it's got a like a chestnut colored interior, and it's very hard to find those seats, the seat patterns.
Yeah, well, a lot of times you just have to have them dyed.
Yeah.
They don't make the reproduction colors anymore. Like I took the windlass for this thing around the windows. An El Camino is not a Chevelle. An El Camino and a
Right.
station wagon are technically sedans. In other words, they have a door frame. They're not a hardtop. So the El Camino side windlass doesn't exist anymore. My factory stuff wasn't bad. I took it to a company that did the dash in this car 30 years ago, and it still looked amazing.
Who
Had
did the
them
dash?
re-dye the. It's a place in Van Nuys, California, and
Just
I want to say
dashes.
yes, just dashes.
Yeah.
That's
Good
it.
They
point.
did my
They're-
68 Camaro dash.
Listen, they're not
They do
cheap.
awesome work.
It's a long wait, but if you want a product that's done right, and I paid retail for it, so I had them do the windlass to black and then the dash back to black. Now the OPG dash fit fine, but again, I wanted that throwback to originality. I can tell
Agreed.
people these seats and that dash pad came in this car when it rolled off the assembly line in '68.
Right.
Mm.
Right. No, that's
Just dashes. They were awesome. I'm sorry. Just give me 2
no,
seconds.
go on.
Just dash. They charged me $300 30 years ago to do the dash in that car.
Yeah, that's probably what I paid that long ago, and I swear the thing looked perfect. I hated to have it redone, but I wanted to keep that originality.
Mine had a big crack in it, so
Yeah.
I had no choice.
Yeah, Jack, we're kindred spirits because building my car, I said, I'm going to use as many of the original parts for the car as I can, even though a repro may be nicer and better, just so I had the originality. Because on a radio show,
Right.
I've posed the question to many people, and I'm going to break it to Mark. I haven't done it yet, but I will. And that is, a lot of cars you can build out of a catalog. Camaros, Tri-5 Chevys, GTOs, Chevelles, many, many others. And at some point, when is a car a restoration and when is it
Well, it's that old joke about the farmer with the axe, and he says,
didn't come
I've
with
had
it."
this for 40 years. It's had 7 different heads and 9 different handles, but it's the same axe I've had for 40 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
I agree. Like the console, I rode on that thing for 5,000 miles. I either rode on the console or in the bed because apparently my dad didn't
Yeah.
like me too much. So
Right.
I would have kept it, except it was pretty cracked. Even my 90-year-old or my 90-pound butt back then was enough to crack it. So
Right.
OPG makes a phenomenal reproduction console. I got the black one, the horseshoe shifter and all that. And I tell you, I'm glad I went new on that because the level of build on this car, it deserved to have something that didn't have stress cracks and 50 years of fatigue.
Right.
Right. No, there's a lot of parts where you just have to. The plastic doesn't hold up. It
Yeah,
really doesn't.
that can be a problem.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. This is.
It's Ray, is he great or what?
I didn't expect this tonight. I'll tell you that. I really expected just we're going to talk about racing all night, which is cool. But I didn't expect kindred spirits over here. This is great. This is fantastic.
Right.
So I'm at 10%.
Loving
So
it.
you guys got race questions? We could talk about that too. But
Oh, boy,
I'm
yeah.
with Tori. I'm with Tori. We'll do a part 2 on this also.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent. I was going to say, I'm looking at the Jegs sign, Jegs banner you have behind the car, and I think the yellow in the Jegs is darker.
Well, it's
than your
funny.
car. Yeah?
You know, it's funny because when I started this build, and as if you can imagine, when you're around racing, when it's all you do your life, you're circulating with these people, the whole Jegs family.
Yeah.
Mike Coughlin let me drive his Super Comp car at the Jegs All-Stars back in 2005. I qualified for it, but economically, it wasn't worth me towing my own car out there. So I got a long history with that family. They do a bunch for cancer research, and I've been through cancer. My mom died of cancer. I do a lot of things to help those causes. So when it was time to do this build, it probably didn't hurt my chances to have them come on board that my car was yellow and black.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
But you know what's nice? You know, back in our day, it was super shops or the local speed shop. And today, yeah, you got to wait a week for shipping. But let me tell you, go online, you click on the parts you want, you're done. They put it in a box. It arrives 5 days later, and you bolt it on the car. And you can get anything and everything now.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yep.
It's a home run. By the way, the original color of your car was ash gold. And Jack, when you have time, send me a picture of your Caltech. I'll tell you exactly what the car was.
Oh,
What it was
I
built.
will. When we're done, Tori, I've actually got it in my phone, the tag. I will send it to you.
Perfect. I'll tell you exactly what the car was.
Excellent.
I think I have an El Camino book right over here.
See?
How about that? I still haven't figured out. They built 5,912 SS 396 1968 El Caminos. A lot of Chevelle registers will tell you the only SS 396 El Caminos were 1968. I have seen some bona fide 1969 SS 396 El Caminos. I haven't quite figured out what's going on with production numbers there.
I'll do some homework on that. One thing I gotta tell you though, in up until '68, the SS Chevelle, it was its own model. So the VIN number started with numbers 138. In '69, they started with the numbers 136, and it was a Super Sport. The Caltech was supposed to get a letter L on it, but guess what? No one put the L there, so there was no way to tell if it was a real Super Sport or not if the original drivetrain was gone. However, there's a little change there. If the car was Hugger Orange or Daytona Yellow, they were SS only colors. So if there's no paperwork or documentation or the original drivetrain, if your car was yellow or orange in '69, it was a real Super Sport.
Interesting. Did Lewis fall asleep, or did we kick him off too?
No,
Hey, something else we didn't mention when we're walking back in time 40 or 50 years, it's the good new days for muscle cars. The ones that are coming off the assembly line now, in every single way, are superior to the stuff from 50 years ago. Now, of course, the nostalgia flare you're only going to have if you have an original car from the 60s or early 70s. But the stuff today handles better ride quality. The horsepower numbers are through the roof. The fuel economy is stunning.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, not even the new stuff, of course, with that, no question. But even going back a few years, one of the guys at the shop I work in, he bought an 08 Mustang GT, triple black convertible, beautiful car, and he just put a Hurst short throw shifter in it. So we're leaving the place on Saturday, and he comes out of the shop with me, and he's handing me a set of keys. I'm like, "What? They're not my keys." I was confused. I'm like, "What are you doing? What do you want?" He goes, "No, take the car for a drive. You didn't drive it yet with the shifter in it." I'm like, "Oh, your car. Let's go." Let me tell you this, boy. That car with that shifter, it is like click, click, click. We're in the side streets in the houses, and you come up to a stop sign. Yeah, you can see everybody. So you roll the sign in second gear. I was stopping and putting it back in first, and I said to him, "I'm doing that because I just want to shift it one more time."
Yeah. Now, if I had, my God, you look at take the Demon. I mean, 840 horsepower production car, and now Mopar's got that crate Hemi that's 1,000 horsepower. Some would consider it sacrilegious. How do you think one of those would look and sound in this thing, though?
How about this? I was at the shop today, and we have a 66 Biscayne there. It's a 4-door rat rod. It's like that butternut yellow and rust, but it's got solid floors. It's a straight 6, 250 with a power glide, and a couple of young guys stopped to look at it today. So I'm showing them the car. I opened the hood. I said, "Look, it hasn't been running in a couple months." I pumped the gas. I hit the key. Boom, it fires up. I said, "You could drive it the way it is," because we were doing that last year. So the kid says to me, "Listen, I'm thinking about doing a motor swap." I'm like, "Of course you are." He says, "Do you think a 351 would fit in here?" I said, 351. I said, "You're talking a Ford motor, right?" He goes, "Yeah, Cleveland." I was like, "Whoa." I'm like, "Now you got me off." I'm like, "Yeah, physically it's going to fit." I said, "Your biggest problem is going to be motor mounts and then tranny mounts." I said, "But physically," I said, "they put big blocks in these
His
cars."
biggest problem is going to be ridicule from his friends.
Oh, yeah.
Never open the hood.
Right.
And I said to him,
no, the Ford guys will be pissed he put it in a Chevy.
Yeah, that's what I mean, the ridicule. So that's why I said, "Why would you do that?" And he says, "Well, I'm looking at a guy's got a couple of Broncos, and he's got 3 of them, and I can get a couple of them for like $800, $600, and I'm thinking of pulling a motor out." I'm like, "So why don't you buy a Maverick?"
Right.
Yeah.
But I said, "Yeah, you could do it." I said, "If you guys are talented enough and you can fabricate, because there's no kit for this."
GM's got that crate 572 pump gas motor that makes 620 horse. Or you put the Larry Dixon has got his same 66 Nova that we used to street race together back in the day. And he put the LT4, the 650 horse factory supercharged engine, total sleeper. Car runs 1042 and he can drive it. And you look at today's technology, the power plants, everything is better than it was back in the day. That being said, we all march to our own drummer. I'm not opposed to at some point maybe upgrading this car to an LS platform, but right now I got 495 horsepower. It's going to be a fun car.
Yeah,
Jack,
absolutely.
if you ever want to double the horsepower, okay, and keep it streetable.
Nitro.
Totally free.
Nitro.
No, if you get the donations for parts, I'll spec out the parts. You'll have 1,000 horsepower LSX. So the GM
Yeah, they're-
block, Callie's rotating assembly. I'm doing it for my 55 Chevy right now. But I'm, buying parts here. I'm buying parts there. Morley pistons.
Hey, Ray, where he lost me was when he said buy. Buying
Yeah,
parts.
yeah.
That's where he lost me.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see if
Right.
Lewis has ran into a bunch of money right now. He can sponsor me.
Hey, you never know. I might come across $1 or two.
Yeah, buy. Do you know who you're talking to? I'm the cheapest man on earth. Just ask my wife.
Well, I'll tell you, Tori, I've been watching Terry's stuff, and he's got me, like jonesing for an LSA. He's like, oh, damn. So it's infectious. Yeah.
Yeah, Jack, I'll put something together. I'll knock your socks off. So
And here is my 7-year-old came out to say hi. She likes to go in the attic while I'm working on the car.
Yeah.
Mom wants to tell you something.
Okay, so mom wants to tell me something. What does mom want to tell me?
You have to go and then
Your
get
battery's
our
dying.
orders and then go get El Pollo Loco.
Okay, I have to make an El Pollo Loco run. So that's a great way to wrap up an interview, huh? I'm at 6% on my battery, and I need to pick up El Pollo Loco for the family. You tell
worked
mom
out
I'm a
good.
famous race car driver, damn it. Yes, I'm
Yeah,
still
yeah.
going to pick up.
Of course you
Yeah,
will.
she's gonna tell you to get there fast.
Exactly. You got to say hi to my friend. You got to get so they can see you in the fun. This is Layla.
Hi,
This
Layla.
is my
Layla.
7-year-old.
Layla.
And she helps me way more than her brother Jason helps me because he's always busy playing hockey or video games. But Layla likes to go up in the attic and do arts and crafts and then make me come up and give her tools.
Nice.
Nice.
That's what it's all about.
Hey, it's memories, man. I'm going to have great memories. I've got memories of working on this car with my dad. I got memories of my mom cruising this car while I was away in tech school for the Air Force. And I hope my kids, when they get older, will have memories of where the heck's dad? Oh, he's out in the garage working on that yellow beast again.
yeah.
I'll give you a quick story. My kids grew up watching me work on stuff all their lives, cars, motorcycles, I was the guy that fixed the bicycles and whatever because I had a welder. So when I got my car done, no interior, it was drivable, and I took them each for a drive. We're just cruising around, and I'd hit it. And the older one said to me, I'm amazed that I saw this car was all apart. There was nothing left to it. She goes, you built this thing back together. I'm like, yeah. So she was like, the realization hit her that that's not an easy thing to do. I said, well, it's not easy for you. I said, when you do it all your life, you better be able to put it back together. It's like a jigsaw.
Ray, my wife has
And that was cool, 'cause
completely.
I made a
My wife has a
connection.
completely different philosophy. And by the way, I met her because she was a super comp racer also. And she thinks that you can just go on Amazon and order whatever. She can't believe I've been 3 years out here trying to get a 50-year-old clunker running again.
Well, you can order everything, but it's not going to put itself together.
She's
that's
very,
for sure.
I think she's very unimpressed by this whole effort. So she's not going to get to
Yeah.
ride in it first.
That's right.
Oh, she'll have memories too, though. She'll have the memories. That's cool. It's good
Wait,
stuff.
Jack, we'll
All
let you
good.
jump off before your battery dies.
Is that Lewis?
Yeah. You can't see me?
Do you not see him?
Somebody woke Lewis back up? Nope, we've just got a little placeholder for you, Lewis.
Oh,
Yeah, I've been here the whole
All right.
time.
Hey, well, listen, we will do part 2 whenever you guys want to get back and do this. I'll make sure I'm at 96% before we get yakking on that one.
Sounds good.
When do you
Excellent.
All
start?
right, and then
When do you start racing again?
I am leaving tomorrow for Vegas.
Okay.
And then we have Vegas and Houston back to back. Then I got a week off and we're back. I think Charlotte 4 wide is after that. So we start getting into the meat of the season in May. Then June, I think we hit their first 4 in a row. And let me tell you, there's no summer if you're a drag racer in the pro ranks, which is fine with me. It's still a cool gig, but I'm away from home a whole bunch. But now I can come home, fire the car up, go to Bob's Big Boy, have a little bit of fun.
Good, good.
Nice.
So we'll try to get you back on in
Excellent.
May, sometime in May.
Whenever. I mean, just, listen, if I'm busy, I'm busy. And if I'm not, we can talk for an hour. And next time, maybe we can field some questions from the audience too. I know a lot of times, and when you say there's no stupid questions, we all know there are stupid questions. But a lot of times the fans are afraid to ask a question like, okay, when you guys pull up the starting line, how come the crew chief leans over the hood and then gives you a thumbs up? Anything that you guys aren't sure of, the track preparation, the work that goes on in the race car shops, what the drivers do with their off time, anything at all that you guys want to know. There's no stupid questions when it comes to that. And I love explaining that sort of stuff. And if I don't know, I'll try to get you a good answer. If you want to know how our fuel systems work, how our timing management, how our clutch systems work, these cars are absolutely phenomenal. And a lot of times when you have a little bit of knowledge, it makes watching the sport so much more rewarding from the fans' perspective.
Right. That makes
True.
sense.
Very
Yep.
true. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. I want to know more about those clutches myself. That's
Yeah,
one of
I'll
my- that's
make
one
it
of the
all
things
up.
I
I
wanna-
always, when somebody says, "Hey, can you
Good.
explain how the fuel system works?" My first question to them is always, "What do you know about it?" And if they say, "I don't know anything about it,"
Right.
I know I can make the whole damn thing up and they won't know any different.
We do that on the radio show. People say, "Boy, thanks for the explanation. How do you guys know all this?" And I say, "We just made it up."
Yeah, yes.
And you fall for it every time.
Call back next week; it'll be a different answer.
Jack, do you run a Lenko in there or in the race?
It's a Turbo 400, but as soon as I get done, my buddy Jimmy G at Racetrans built the Turbo 400, and as soon as we get done, I'm either going to drive down to his place or he'll come here. We're going to put a 700 R4 with a lockup converter in it, and I think it'll make it way more street friendly.
I meant the race car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
I
no,
know.
it's high gear only. In the funny car, it's
Really?
high gear only. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
yeah.
that.
No, listen, with 10,000 horsepower and foot-pounds of torque, we've discovered gear ratios are highly overrated. It doesn't need it. It's an infinite ratio with the slippage of the clutch, and it's stunning the way it works. If you really get into the nuances and the minutia of a fuel car, even just the clutch itself, it's stunning these cars go down the track and repeat as often as they do. There's so many moving parts that have to work in concert with each other, and if they don't, that throws the tune-up off.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, I'm at 3%, guys, so I'm
Hey.
probably going to lose you any second. But I love the conversation, and Tori, you get back whenever you want to schedule part 2.
I will. I'll call you
And I'm
tomorrow.
doubling my fee. Part 2
Hey,
is twice as much.
Hey, I
Okay,
got the
Sounds
money,
good.
Jack. Jack, I have the money.
Layla,
Don't
what's
worry
0
about it.
times 2?
0.
Still
Good.
0, she says.
Let's look up the money.
Yeah.
Thanks
Hey,
for coming on, Jack. It's a
Jack,
pleasure.
don't worry.
All
I
right,
got a
gentlemen.
bag full of money.
Well, yeah, he found some more. We'll talk again soon, guys.
Good night, Jack.
All right,
Good
Jack,
seeing
All
you.
right, take care.
Spend time with us tonight.
My pleasure.
Ray, was he awesome or what?
I love his energy, man. He is just so, and easy to talk to. I could talk to him for hours. And talk about being in like I said, in sync, geez.
Yeah, he's good
He's
dude.
just a really good, down to earth. I mean, we spoke for about a half hour on the phone trying to figure out the computer and the links and this and that. And then we just started talking, and just what a good guy. I'm looking forward to having part 2 with him. What do you think, Ray?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Well, he's good.
And truthfully, I'd love to know about the some of the nuances of the newer race cars. But I enjoyed the conversation tonight. I like when you talk to someone on a personal level about something that you both do. Because we don't do what he does, but in the garage we do.
Oh, yeah. It's funny because when we were talking on the phone, he said, "You're that 64 Malibu SS." I said, "Yeah." But because he already told me that's the car that got him started. That's the car that his father owned. That was his first
Cool,
car.
cool.
And I said, well, I have a similar story with another 68. It's a Camaro. And that was the car my grandfather bought for my dad when my dad came home from Vietnam. And he's like, no kidding. And then we just started exchanging stories.
I had a guy down at the shop today. He lives local, and he worked with Merkel. He worked with Smokey Eunuch. He worked with who else? There's a big pro stock driver. I'm forgetting his name. I'm blanking out. But anyway, we were talking about head work and things. He did a lot of engine work. He still does porting and in his advanced years. But he was telling me about how he used to drive. He built a Camaro with a 4-speed, but the race team showed him how to take a 3-speed shifter, and it had to have a separate reverse lockout, like you've seen on a lot of the Hurst shifters, but it became an inline shifter, like a Vertigate. So it was first was up, second was back, and then when you go back up again, it was third and straight back to fourth. And I said, I would love to see how they modified a 3-speed shifter to do that. But he says, yeah, and by today's standards, it'd be kind of sloppy, but back in the day, it was no one else had it, and so you hear about this stuff that people did, and man, it's just so cool.
Yeah. Hey, John.
Oh, for sure. Hey, John,
What's up, John?
how are you? How you feeling?
Good, feeling better.
Good.
That was a good night. He's awesome.
He really is.
Yeah.
What a blast.
Yeah, did you meet him at SEMA? John?
No, I've met him at the track numerous times.
Okay, because
Yeah,
he was right
yeah.
across from us. At where were we at when you met us at the booth?
Oh, at
He's-
the God,
I forget. Jet.
the
We were
tool,
at
the
the
jet
booth.
booth. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. He was right across from us.
yeah. No, he's really cool. He used to work for Frank Hawley for a little while too. You know.
Oh,
Yeah. Right out of Gainesville.
cool. Mhm.
Yeah, good dude.
Wow.
Yeah. He was the dragster instructor.
He's the right guy for that, right?
Oh, guy's just phenomenal. Yeah, he's good. Very good.
That for sure was a good interview.
All right.
And, you know,
Well, if anybody wants to re-watch it, it is on our YouTube channel, Playing in Traffic. So you guys need to go over there and hit the like button or hit the share. Wait, what do you call it? Subscribe button, and hit the little bell so you can get notified every time we post something new.
Right.
sounds like a plan.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna jump off because brother got to take care of business early in the morning at 5:00.
Yes, sir.
And,
Yes, sir.
so yeah, we look forward to getting Jack back on. He's a good guest.
Yeah, I'll take care of that
Yeah.
tomorrow. We'll get him sometime in May before he gets busy, and we'll pick up where we left off then.
Hey, I got an important phone call yesterday from some big wigs in the industry. So they want to put together a special evening for Playing in Traffic. So I'm not going to let the bag out, but something big is getting worked up that you guys are going to
Cool.
enjoy.
Very good.
All right. That's interesting.
I like that.
As long as they can get on.
Yeah, as long as we get on. But believe me, we're going to make sure because this is going to be cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good.
When's it gonna happen? Do you think any time frame or?
I'm supposed to have a meeting, a phone meeting in the next couple days, so I'll know more about it. But yeah, they approached me and they're like, "Hey, let's do this." Okay, sounds good.
Sure.
That's great.
Yeah, it definitely sounds good.
Yes, this is gonna be a good year, man. We're doing some stuff. It's gonna be a good year.
Lewis, I'm booked like a month in advance already,
Yeah.
and I
Tori-
still have people go through it. It just in the beginning I was scrambling, hoping to get somebody, and now all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but it just kind of clicked where it's almost running itself. Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll tell you.
It's easy to get people
booked
now.
My show. I book my show, and it's the same thing. Sometimes it's feast or famine, and sometimes I'm overwhelmed. I always say I have people in the clouds because some people they can't commit to a hard date.
Mhm.
So, all right, well, let me know what's good for you, and then you have 2 or 3 people
Yeah.
doing that. Then someone else slides in under the radar, and then maybe I'll just throw someone in because I know I can get them. And then one of the other guys says, "Hey, I'm good this Sunday." Like, oh shit, you just give somebody else the
You're
date.
constantly playing, roulette, trying to get people and switch them around and make it all work. Yeah.
Yeah, Tori's doing a great
I
job,
wish I
man.
had-
He's putting it down. He's
Tori is. He really is. In fact, like I've always said, I wish I had a guy to do it for me, like Tori. Because sometimes, it's a lot of work. It really is a lot of work. Just making the phone calls and
Yeah.
following up and then keeping track. I'm always writing Post-it notes, and because I've screwed it up. I've screwed it up.
See, it is
It's so
nice.
rewarding though.
It is nice because
It is.
it takes a lot of pressure off where I can do other stuff. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he helps out a lot. Takes some pressure off.
That's
It's
cool.
rewarding too. You want to put your best foot forward, and it's not just my foot; it's your foot and all of us. Collectively as a brand. Playing in Traffic, it's a reflection on all of us. So I have to make sure that I do my homework and make sure that we have a good guest every week. So
So should we all be wearing like the same shirt or something? like
Hey,
uniforms.
well, here's what we can do.
There
You
you
can
go.
go, listen, now, listen, you can go to Playing in Traffic
Yeah.
and order your Playing in Traffic shirt because we have gear.
Oh
Just
yeah.
go there and
yeah.
order it, and it'll show up at your house in the mailbox.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll all look like,
With the jegs
like
on
little
it.
Plane and Traffic soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I could do that. That'd be cool.
Okay, I'll
Yeah,
give
right.
everybody 2 weeks to get your shirts.
All right.
I'll get the alert saying bling. Oh, we got to sell.
I want the 57 Chevy shirt because you don't have a 55, so we're good.
Yeah.
No, 56.
Yeah, right.
Hey,
Did they make a Chevy that year? Did they? I don't recall.
is Terry here?
Yeah, I don't know. They might have missed that year. I think they might have dropped that year.
I don't think he's on. I think he is Terry on.
I didn't see him make any comments.
Oh,
Let's see. Let me see.
no, I don't think so.
Nope, I don't see him on the list here.
He went
No.
to bed early.
He's probably out shooting a video in the
Could
garage.
be.
Possibly.
Hey, I'll
His
tell you
videos-
what, man.
yeah,
He's
his
putting
videos
out
are
some
the
good
best.
videos. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
doing some good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of,
I started.
you have to go to All Ins Magazine because he's going to be featuring some tech stuff on the magazine. So you got to go and
Nice.
check that out. That should his stuff should
Good.
be up in the next week or so. So
Very cool.
He's pushing himself too thin because I started commenting on the YouTube channel on some of the videos, and usually a guy will just comment back, but no, he calls me. It's like, I got to talk to you about this. What did you mean? I'm like, Terry, you don't got to go so deep, dude. It's like, oh, we'll talk about it. It's all right. It's hilarious,
yeah, no, Tammy will be on too with paint tech tips. So yeah, that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I was telling the guys at the shop about her and her company. And I'd like to have them watch. I want them to watch it because they're the paint guys. I'm
Yeah.
not. I want them to
She's
see
bright,
that.
man. I'm telling you, she knows her stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, without a doubt.
So yeah, if you guys get a chance, bounce through Planet Traffic, bounce through allinsmag.com and see the new
Yeah.
stuff popping up. And register so you'll get the alerts. 'Cause every time we do something, it'll alert you.
Right.
I get them all.
That's the way to do it. Yeah.
All right, fellas, I'm gonna bounce here
All right.
as soon as I figure out how to cut myself off again.
All right. Get you
All
later.
right, later,
Good night.
guys. Thanks.
Yes. See you
Very
later.
cool.
Oh boy. So John, did you get you got everything ready in the backyard? Last we left you were thrashing with parties and
Getting going on that.
Christmas
Getting going.
decorations. I don't want to say too loud.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to be around to hear. The garage and all of
The
that.
garage is clean. I'll probably sit in there next week. I was doing something tonight, and then I just opened up the laptop, and I'm like, oh, it's time to go.
Right.
But yeah, the cars are there. It's I still have some stuff I got to move, but physically everything's there. The Trans Am's there. The Camaro is sitting sideways on the rotisserie.
So I gotta get an answer to a question. What I did, I'm working on a Chevelle again, and I pulled the front of it off, fixed those timing marks. I posted that. Now what I did was it still didn't want to start right. I didn't have compression. I did a leak down test. It was like all over the place, bad. And I said, I got to condemn these heads. I really do. So I pulled them off the other day. And today I fully expected, what I did is I inverted them with the valves facing up. I expected to find chunks out of the valves and all sorts of stuff, just that they were leaking, and I didn't. So what I did is I filled the chambers today with some Prepsol, and I wanted to see how fast it would take it to leak down through the valves, through seats.
Wow.
And they didn't. None of them did. And now I'm like, what the hell is going on with this engine? The only thing that's still an unknown is the camshaft. And I'm at a loss. So what I did is I put a dial indicator on the lifter, and I measured the travel from the heel of the cam, from the heel of a lobe to the top of the lobe, and I got like 230 thousandths. But I got to look through some books. I don't remember. I know what you have to do is look at the cam in profile. You have to have a center line, and you have to measure from
I
center line
disappeared and
to
then
the
came
heel.
back.
You have to.
That was-
You dropped off, yeah. You have to take that measurement and drop that off, subtract that, and the rest of the number is the actual lift. But I have to figure out what that bottom measurement is from center line to the lobe. I don't know. So it's still a mystery.
You'll figure it out. Or
But the head's going to go out to lab. We'll send
Is
him out
Lee
to Richard
still
and
there?
have him go over 'em.
Oh God.
Lee is still there. He's not 100% active. He does other stuff. Richie
built
is now kind of running
2 or
the
3
day-to-day.
motors for me
So
back in the day.
yeah, I'm going to send him out.
Yeah.
We'll
Including
send him out to Richie and
including
have him go over 'em.
the one motor
After-
that basically we kind of swept the floor with, grabbed up parts that were laying around, and it
Yeah.
made 675
That's cool.
horsepower. It shouldn't have back in those days.
Yeah.
That was pretty Those were some
Cool.
days. Yeah.
So I'm gonna throw them in. Yeah, I'm gonna throw them in a truck and drive them out there.
Still
I
at
just
that
gotta-
same building in
gotta get out
Lindenhurst,
there.
right?
We're going to the.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's
They're in
wild.
Lindenhurst. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's the same building, but
It was
you know what,
on a corner there.
my buddy Christian.
It was like a junkyard across the street
Yeah, I
or
haven't
something.
been out there. Let's
Wasn't it
see.
Bell Street or something?
Google. Let's see. I'll tell you right now because I have the Lab Engine.
Albany,
It says
yeah.
Lindenhurst. Albany Avenue. So they did move.
Well, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, they did move. So get out there and
You know-
take care of that. And going up to the Ground Up Restoration has an open house this Saturday, so we're going up to Connecticut to check that out. I'm going to sneakishly buy some parts for my Pontiac. before
I
Chevelle.
see.
So
I'm
'cause
I'm going
you
out
know
on a
that they
boat
cross.
Saturday.
That's what we do here.
Nice. Yeah, I got a rare Saturday where I don't have to work.
It was a rain Saturday here,
Yeah.
but
Nah,
Yeah, we bought-
sunny in the 80s.
yeah, they said in the morning, so I'm hoping it'll be okay in Connecticut because I don't know. I know we're gonna go to Little Italy up there. They got some
Good.
really good pizzerias, so we hit one last time. We're gonna
Cool.
hit another one this time, and pig out,
Yeah.
no,
pig out
nothing
on
wrong with
pizza,
that, right?
Chevelle parts. You know.
So,
I know,
Ray,
right?
getting back
I
to
know.
that top fuel clutch stuff that Jack was kind of talking about,
Yeah,
it's they use
Uh-huh.
like 4, 5, or 6 disc clutches. They're like that thick, huge.
right.
There's
Yeah,
multiple fingers, but really what it is it's a
Uh-huh.
it's a variable, movable throw out bearing.
It's like a
operated
CVT
on
clutch, pretty
CO2
much.
or nitrogen. I don't know what I know they were using CO2.
Right.
They may be using nitrogen at this point because it's more stable. And there's just a computer control box with a bunch of digital timers. You'll see it in the front of a funny car.
Yeah.
There's always that box and it's got all these digital
yeah.
timers in it, and they just punch in time. And all it does is it pushes in to release the clutch to the point where he can literally just hold the car on the starting line at an idle by pulling on the handbrake. And then you just punch it. It's all
Right.
centrifugal.
Yeah, I know that
And
they can.
then they call it a cannon. The throw-out
Yeah.
bearing just continually moves back, applying more base pressure.
Right.
And like if they at
right.
Gainesville, there's an area where they have the tunnel, and they have a tendency to allow the throw-out bearing to actually push back forward a little bit for a split second and then come back out. They take away some power because
Oh.
the track is different where it goes over the
Yeah.
tunnel. You know, it's the
Yeah.
same thing
Okay.
in North Carolina. They do the same thing there too. There's a tunnel there, and traction is just different because of the temperature. There's air rushing underneath this tunnel, and it changes surface temperature. And these guys, these guys
Yeah,
work
it's like
with some
going over a
crazy
bridge.
stuff. But yeah, it's just a variable
Oh, yeah.
movement throw-out bearing. It's pretty wild
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
cool
there's no
technology. It
gears.
really
They all
is.
run. It's mandatory. They all have to run the same rear gear, and they just move that
What gear is
clutch.
that?
I think
Yeah.
they're running like a 373 or something like that. I'm not positive though. Don't hold me to it, but it's something in the threes, maybe even a 350. There's like no gear in the car at all. It's ridiculous. But
Right.
Don
Well, 10,000
Garlitz was the one that
horsepower,
figured that
you
one
know.
out way back when, in the days when they used to smoke the slicks for the whole quarter mile. He was the guy that figured out, if I
That was
ride
the-
the clutch pedal, I can actually go faster.
Right. That was the variable traction.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, plus too, the tire
Totally
technology
different.
back then was like
Slim to
you know,
none, right?
hard as hell.
They had those
Right. Yeah.
hard
So it
slicks
was
with the
easy to do.
fluted sidewall,
Right. And
Yeah.
everybody's buying out
Herman
their,
Munster
gases,
slicks.
You know? There's a guy, we had a guy on. He's out in Oregon, and he worked for a company that did retreads and they did tires. But the owner bought, I forget what the tire company was that made those pie crust slicks. He bought the
Was that
original
Race-
molds and he
might have been
bought the
Race
right
Master.
to the name. And now I don't think it's Racemaster, but because they're remanufacturing the tires now out at that shop, so you can buy a brand new set of pie crust slicks. You don't have to worry about
Gotta have the ones with the white
70-year-old technology. Right, the
retro,
trim white
yeah.
wall. Yeah.
That's
Oh, they look
bad
right on the
stuff.
right car. Absolutely. Yeah, that's
Very
cool.
good.
Yeah. Oh, Vince, what old Rusty are you talking about? You know, Vince sent me a can of, I'm talking about music on this thumb drive. Vince stacked this thing with freaking, there's some cool shit on there. But Vince, the penetrant that you sent me, I think that's what you're talking about. I actually used it today. I sprayed a couple of bolts and suspension components and smelled real nice, had a real nice smell to it. So I'm going to see in a day or two just how it worked. It was a penetrant that I don't know if it's just indigenous to the
What's it
South.
called?
I've never seen it up here. I guess it's called Old Rusty. Yeah, that's probably what it is. It was a tall can, like a brake clean size can, yellow label, black writing, and Old Rusty. It's a penetrant, so I mean, everybody's got their favorite. I use a whole.
Let's go WD-40 or whatever works.
All of those.
I use Silicroil. John Day's stuff is really good. The Flame Torch, Croil I can get, so I use that mostly. But then there's Liquid Wrench, of course, and
it's all good
Blaster
stuff.
is another common one. But yeah, Vince sent me a can of this stuff to check out, so we'll see. I gave it an application today. If it smells good enough that I want to put it behind my ears and do a little, then I know it's nice. It's
You don't come out of the garage smelling like oil, or
right. I'll be
I'm trying
styling.
to think. I think I had something really cool like that.
Better than being bathed
Oh God.
in brake fluid. I had to change a line on the flatbed last week, and it's 1/4-inch line on that truck. One of the drivers took it out the night before in Cedarhurst. They had a three-car accident. So he's pulling 2 cars back, and he loses the rear brakes on the flatbed. So being a veteran driver, and I guess being it, it was like 2 or 3 a.m., he's like, all right, well, I got to get this truck back to the shop, because if you don't, now you got to offload the cars. Then you got to get a truck to tow the truck, and that's more money. So he just drove it in, and they called me, we got to do a brake line. I'm like, oh, great. It's like, only about, 20 feet long. So you had to use 2 sections, and I had to bend it and then section it with a union. But all said and done, I put a hand bleed tool on the caliper, the rear caliper. I was like, wow, I got fluid right away. So I told my buddy Mike, I said, get in the cab, start this thing, get the boost going, and let's do a pump and dump. The first time, he pumps and holds, I opened the bleeder, and I said to him, oh my God, you ever go to the zoo and see an elephant pee? Like that stream? That's what was coming out of this.
Nowhere?
I've never seen, I guess I have never seen, no air. I've never seen, well, I did, like I said, I did a little hand pump first. I've never seen a vehicle flow that much fluid with that much force. It was impressive. I was like, man, we did like 3 pumps on that one, went to the other side, did another 3, took it out for a drive, brakes were good, done. I was like, I've sat there for sometimes 2.5 hours playing with brakes just to get the air out, especially when you do lines, with 3/16 lines. Man, this was a joy. I tell them, as much as I hate working on these trucks, maybe I want to work more on trucks. it was easier.
Here's a fun fact for you.
But,
Did you know that brake fluid actually eats away powder coating? Ask me how
I did not know that.
No,
what
switching
did you
out
lose?
a
What
rear
happened?
differential in a 66 Chevelle. Cracked open the brake lines, got on the housing. The powder coating got really soft. I'm like, uh-oh.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Huh. That's terrible.
Powder coating,
I
I
didn't know
thought
that.
was like, impervious to
Yeah,
everything.
that's what I thought too.
I never, come to think of it, I never spilt really anything on powder coat, any of the powder coated parts I
Don't
had.
spill
So
brake fluid on it.
I just
It
wasn't
doesn't
aware.
like it.
Yeah. Brian's agreeing. Yeah. I don't know. I wonder why.
It discolored it
That's
and made it
interesting.
soft. I called the powder coater panicking. I'm
Wow.
like, Rick, I got a problem here. I'm under a customer's car, and
Yeah.
he said, just let it, just wipe it. Don't put any pressure on it. You don't want to drag it or pull the powder coating away. And when it dried out, it hardened up again. Yeah, and I just,
Wow.
try to dry it up a little bit.
Just kind of blot it.
And where I discolored a little bit.
That's
I
amazing.
put some paint on there, and I just kind of, it looked just
Yeah.
just a.
That's what I was going to say. Since it's a rear end housing, you could probably get away with it.
We used to
and-
use a
Yeah,
lot of
I
that
was
gonna
synthetic stuff way back when, which didn't bother anything. Yeah.
Oh, dot
yeah,
five.
that, like purple stuff.
Dot five. Yeah, the purple stuff, right? Yeah, 5, and even Harley went to that as a
Talk
factory
about
fill.
trying to bleed
But,
stuff. What a pain in the neck it was. And just about every one of the
I
pro
know.
stock tube cars we
It-
built, the master cylinder's lower than the calipers.
Yeah, no, you're right, Vince. Probably like a rock star. Dot 5 and 5.1 is great for the, because it won't eat paint, but you typically get a bit of a spongy pedal with it. You don't get a real hard front pedal. Yeah, I stick with a good dot 4, something with a good wet and dry boiling point, and and then hope and pray. It's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do. But yeah, and then the other thing that I do, people say I'm nuts, but I flush the brake fluid like I used to do it every year. Now I do it like every 2 years.
I think it's a good
maybe
thing to
every
do.
2-3 years. But whenever
Gets rid of corrosion.
it is, it absolutely is. And even when I'm it does. When I'm under the hood, I have a turkey basin that's dedicated to brake fluid, and I'll just suck the master cylinder dry on whatever car, whatever I'm doing. I'll just suck it dry and top it off with fresh fluid. You just took 80% of the fluid out of the system by doing that. Because the
Right.
lines hold almost nothing, 3/16 lines. Calipers will hold a couple ounces, but the majority is usually in the master. So just by doing that, if you did that a few times, you kind of turn it over. But and then when I do flush it, it never comes out really, really dirty. Now with the newer cars, you have to actually have a scan tool because you can do an internal. They still haven't explained to me to my satisfaction how this works. I've done it with a scan tool. You put it on the car and you go into the brake section and you do an internal bleed. You have to have key on, you press the brake off, and then you hear the servos and you hear the ABS pump going crazy, doing its thing. It'll internally cycle the brakes, and it says it's doing like an internal bleed. So I said, okay, if there's no fluid coming out, how is it doing a bleed? And the best explanation that I was given was that it just is diverting fluid in the internal ports. I don't know if there's dedicated ports. And the air still has to, whatever air is there, still has to go back into the system. I do know this. You have to do that.
Guys, I'm gonna say
The brake
goodnight.
pedal
I've got a
so-
phone call, but I'll see you guys next week. Okay. See you later. Take
All
care.
right,
Good
Troy,
seeing you.
stay well. Talk to you
Bye,
soon.
guys.
All right. So, oh yeah, you know what? What do you call it? Vince is just saying some of the music game is just banned Big Engine from down your way. I think they're down in is it Gainesville? Maybe from Gainesville. I listened to them like, oh, these guys sound like the atypical biker bar, Sturgis bike rally band. They sound like Jackal or like any southern mixture of like southern rock and
Molly
rock,
Hatchet.
Jacksonville, right? And I was like, Molly, actually, yeah. I said, man, these guys have the formula down right. They sing about
Trucks.
girls, drinking, motorcycles, yeah, trucks, cars, the whole thing. It's they got their song patterns down. I mean, nothing musically like stunning, I mean, they're just nice chord progressions, and of course the right power chords in the right time and the right progression. It's just kind of stuff that even though it's simple music, you catch yourself
That's
like
good.
bopping along to it, because it's like, throw me a beer, Jack and Coke.
Popular
But,
drink.
Yeah, cool stuff. Vincent mentioned.
Popular drink
you
down here,
mentioned-
Jack and
what's that?
Coke.
Oh yeah, it's been my choice for many. Except now Jack Daniels is like for a 750 milliliter bottle, it's $45 all of a sudden. I was like, screw that. I went back to drinking Jim Beam. I'm like, give me $50 for a bottle of Jack. Get the hell out of here.
Man.
I'll go to my other list. That's all. I've been drinking gin actually.
I haven't been drinking
switch
anything
back
since
a
I
little
went
bit,
on a
but-
diet. Nothing but water.
Yeah, true. And
So
with the
boring.
knee, that's the best thing. It really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, summer's coming.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I went.
So is is the party taking up the time, or you be able to get back to that to the Camaro?
The Firebird's going to leave, I think, next month to go to that guy that I'm going to have him do
Okay.
some work. At
Right.
that point, I'll have a lot more room in the shop, in the garage to do what I got to do.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then I spoke to my landlord the
Sure.
other day where I have the aquarium business, and one of the units over there may open up, which would be fantastic
Mm.
because then I'll have
Yeah.
both of those things right next door to each other. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that'd
Heavy
be good.
power. So that would be a good shop, fenced in,
Right.
no problems. And it's
Right.
literally down a block from the
Yeah.
house. So I'll be able to
That's
do
great.
that. But
That's good.
my big thing is I really gotta get back to work. And this knee is
Yeah.
taking a long time. I'm like
Yeah.
I'm done. I got shit to do,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. No, I hear that. But you gotta be careful because you pushed it
I've
once,
been-
you gotta not push
I
it
know.
again.
I've been pushing it for a couple of weeks, cleaning out the old shop, getting everything over here. And then
Right,
these guys, they put everything in the truck and they just basically unloaded the truck into my garage, and stuff was everywhere.
Right.
And the garage wasn't
Yeah.
exactly ready to go either. So I had to work around everything and make a lot of trips to the dumpster and just moving stuff around. It was a horror
Right.
show, but it's good now. It's really nice. But it's tight.
Right.
You know, it's even with a 3-car garage,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
really no room for 2 full-size cars and
Oh, yeah.
and a boatload of tools. Yeah,
Oh, it
it's
eats it up real
ridiculous.
fast.
So I
It's,
turned the Camaro up sideways, so it only takes up about 3 feet.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But
No, that's
the other
definitely
thing that kind of jumped up
space
and
saver.
bit me is the fact that they don't build garages down here like they do in New York. Yeah.
I can imagine.
It's a 3-car garage, so the single-car garage is actually shorter than the 2-car garage. It's one of those architectural offsets, so your house doesn't look like a flat
Right.
wall.
That's made for
Yeah,
It's for
exactly.
cameras,
So
you know?
try sticking a 16-foot, 7-inch 81 Trans Am in a garage that's literally, I'm going to say 19 and a half feet front to back. You can't walk
Yeah. Right.
because I've got a workbench there.
Yeah. No, it's true.
So the Camaro
Yeah.
wound up going where the Firebird originally was going to be. And the Trans Am is in the larger part. It's about another 2 foot longer. And there's
Right.
you could walk around the Trans Am there. There's space behind it, space in front of it, but start swinging doors open and how am I going to work on that thing with a nose
yeah.
on it? I got that fiberglass racing nose. I don't even have a
Hey.
place to hang the nose. So yeah, right. Yeah,
How cool.
that'll look good.
Hey, I restored my car in a 1.5 car garage that has a workbench and toolboxes down one side and across the back and a motorcycle in there. It was tight. It was really tight, but it can be done. Then I was bitching and complaining, but I said, hey, I read about these guys who do cars in garages in the
Yeah.
Midwest with a dirt floor. It's like, at least I got
Well, I
concrete,
looked at I look at the car and I'm like, I worked on this thing in my mom's garage and there was virtually no room. And I built it the first time there. But you get spoiled because you go from a garage to a shop. From a shop,
Sure.
you wind up in an 8,000 square foot building.
Sure.
And then you walk away.
Right.
And then you come back.
Oh, I know.
and I had,
And
right?
you got
And I
muscle
had
memory.
a nice shop, but that deal didn't work out.
Yeah.
And I thought that shop was going to last for a long time. So I went out and bought equipment, never thinking of the possibilities of the end. So now all of that stuff is stuffed into a
That's not how
3-car
we think.
garage. And it's like, oh, Jesus, what do I do?
Yeah.
So
No,
it's going to be,
absolutely.
it's going to be a little difficult, but I got to get it done. Got things to do.
Then you got to get that that Camaro the hell out of there.
absolutely. Well, I'm ready to take the front chassis, get it powder coated, start doing brake lines, put the fuel tank in, and then
You're gonna make the lines
I
yourself?
have
You're
I've
them
already got a
yourself?
stainless steel pre-bent fuel line for it that he
Oh.
brought down with him.
Okay.
And it's the same diameter
Mhm.
that you would use on a fuel injection system. I just have to Siamese it with a return line. So that shouldn't be too
Yeah.
hard. Probably can get away with just buying another one and then making just a couple of
Right.
changes and then adding some larger clamps and running the two of them next to each other.
Right.
So we'll see what happens with
Sure.
that. But then, brake lines needs brake lines. It needs a bunch of stuff.
One of the next tools I want to buy is a. I know
Oh,
Eastwood
that-
sells it. So does
yeah.
some places. It's a pneumatic brake line flare. Yep.
That thing's awesome.
I want one of them because I had to do this. I had to do this truck, and I had I got a regular, snap. I got 2 snap-on flares, but I realized I don't have a bubble flare tool, and now that I'm working on other stuff, I may come against that, with a foreign car.
It
And I'm
does.
thinking, that thing has it all. It's got
Yeah,
bubble
it's-
inverter. It's got that. Oh, it's around $300. Last time
That's
I
a
saw
good
it was
tool.
around 300. So yeah,
That's a really good
I
tool.
got my eyes on that. I was at Englishtown last year, and a guy was selling them, and I didn't pull the trigger on it, and I thought about it. But now maybe this time around, I think I will. But yeah, it just makes it. Then again, I wonder, like working under a car, what's it going to be? Because some of the stuff I do, you got to do a repair on a car, and it's bad enough getting a regular old-fashioned flaring tool in there, let alone this bigger thing. Like I was just telling somebody at work, I was talking about torque wrenches, and I said, the tool guy now, Matt Brian come back, so I'm sure Matco has it too. Snap-on guy shows me this brand new Mama Luke torque wrench, all digital. He says, trade in all your torque wrenches. He goes, it'll do quarter, it'll do inch pounds, foot pounds, kilopascals. It's torque to yield, the whole 9 yards. And it was only like just short of $1,000. I was like, what? I said, but wait a minute. When I'm doing like a timing chain cover with my inch pound wrench, I'm doing something dainty. I like that little inch pound wrench. Like, why do I want to have a baseball bat in my hand?
Sure.
To do something small like that. You can feel like you don't even move it, And he says, well, yeah. He goes, yeah. So I said, what's the real application? And he says, basically his dealership guys love it because they can switch back and forth on the fly. I said, great. So now you got to be looking at a digital screen and switching that back and forth. I'm looking for knobs and dials, It's like
I still have
so
in my toolbox.
he said,
I bought this thing. Oh God, I guess I bought it in the 70s. It's a Craftsman torque wrench,
Mhm.
and it has that little thin piece of metal to beam style, and
It's a
you
beam
pull
style.
on it, and it's
Yeah.
got the scale.
Yeah.
I haven't used it in
Yeah.
years, because I wound up moving over to the ones that click.
No.
But I still have that vintage
Right.
Craftsman beam style torque wrench. I wonder how accurate that
Yeah.
thing is. I should check that.
Yeah. I that was my first wrench too. That was what everybody sold, and
It's
I don't know what
still
happened
in the
to mine. It's
case,
long
that
gone,
red
but-
case from Craftsman.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, if it was
Yeah.
in a case, it could still be
Totally sitting in
totally
that
workable,
case for,
totally fine.
I don't know, 30-something years.
That's something I say. I keep saying I want to do. I want to have my torque wrenches calibrated because you don't know. You really don't know. I mean, I've never dropped them, but still, I always return to zero, put them in the case. But and then you got to say, well, all right. So if it's out by a little bit, what's the big deal? But the torque to yield stuff is nice. I bought a Lyle. It's just a dial gauge that you put a breaker bar in that gives you the angle inclination, and they'll give you. So if you ever see a torque spec that says like 75 plus 5 plus 20, it's 75 foot-pounds. Then you switch to the other gauge and you go 5 degrees of inclination, back off, and then go 20 degrees. There's your 5 and 20. So the digital one does that all for you. So I can see, like in dealership work where you're doing a lot of time, you're under the gun for time.
I want a digital one that
save some
talks
money,
to you.
save some time, but
Keep going.
yeah,
You're getting closer.
you're too tight.
A
Fuck.
little bit more. Click.
Come on, weakling. You're doing like main caps. Come on, weakling. Let's go eat your Wheaties. Come on. It's only 140 foot-pounds. Like, shut the
That would be
fuck up.
funny.
Torque wrenches will be flying around the shop at that point. out of here. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, diesel injection.
Sure.
I guess there's a lot of applications. I know for the Harley, Harley compensating nut on a compensating sprocket is like 180 foot-pounds. And like I couldn't exert 180 foot-pounds when I tried it. And then the motor starts turning. So I asked my buddies at the shop,
Put
the
something
horse
in the
shop, I said,
flywheel.
how do you guys do it? He says, He says, no. He says, well, tell you the truth. Well, he says, they just got a 3/4 inch breaker bar with a socket, and they set it up on the crank, and they bump the starter, and they let the motor turn and they say actually when the force goes down and the bike
God.
lifts up, it's tight. I'm like, all right.
That's
they send
nuts.
these things out every day, So yeah, and then there's a the washer with the tags that come around to lock it. So although my friend did lose one off his, he put his on but didn't torque it. He did lose it in Belmore. I had to go pick him up one year. Oh, it made mess because the belt just stacked up and locked everything. He's in the middle of a turn, everything just locked up. It would slide and hit the ground. Hit the ground about 4 times on that bike because of shit like that. But yeah, that's all fun stuff.
Unbelievable. I think I am going to hit the road.
Yeah, I could use a little rest myself. I was tired tonight, so I'll do that. Yeah, Vince too. Banging out. Ryan, Vince. Yeah,
This
we'll
thing
catch you
says
guys
there's
later
15 people on here.
during the week. I think that was I think that must have been 15 registered. Yeah, it said 7 appeared on screen, but there were 15 registered. It used to show you how
I
many
see
was
yours
still
is different
there.
than
I don't
mine. I just
know.
have on the bottom it says 15, and then it shows a whole bunch of icons: John Day, Rick, Brian.
Yeah, I got that. And Brian, yeah. If you click on the 15, it'll bring up
there
a
it
separate
is.
page.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it'll show you 15 registered, and it'll show you.
So are
it'll
these
show you the
people all
names.
still here?
Yeah.
Nah, Jack's
No,
gone.
I think that was who
Yeah.
was registered for the event.
Blue.
Oh, Scott is Vince's older brother. Hey, we had a
Cool.
familia night. Nice. Familia, Vince. We'll get you. I want to get Vince speaking Italian because he's got that southern accent. I want to see what Italian sounds like with a southern drawl.
And they call it down
gotta
here.
be
They call it Italian. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Tell you about, oh yeah. I learned that one really quickly. People that work with my wife. It's
I had
like,
a guy
oh, you
walk
guys
in
are gonna
and
go
say-
get some of that Italian food. And then also the
Yeah.
inflection
I was.
on certain words is different. If you're in New York, you have auto insurance. If you live here in Florida, it's auto
Right.
insurance.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, what the hell is that?
Insurance. Yes, I've heard that. Yeah. One of the guys came in today when I was making lunch at work, and he's like, "Wow, geez, what are you making?" With because I got everything laid out, all the cold cuts, and I got the pickles, and I got the mayo and the mustard, and I got the lettuce, and everything is there. I'm toasting the bread. He's like, "What the hell?" He's like, "I know that's ham, but what's the?" I'm like, it's mortadella. I said, "Mortadella and ham. That's what I make. I love it. Put some Swiss on there." And he's like, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, "Come on." I said, "You don't know? Get the hell out of here." I said, "Come on, forget about it." I was like, "If you don't know," I gave him a piece and tried. He's like, "What the hell are those things in there?" I'm like, "Yeah, I said, it's freaking pistachio." I said, "Oh, there's nuts in there." I'm like, "Yeah, man, you haven't lived till you try some good mortadella." And the guy that gets it for my wife
Sure.
cuts it like wafer thin.
perfect.
It's like just so, it's like lace. Delicious.
That's good
Yeah,
stuff.
that was lunch.
Nah.
These guys, they don't get it.
No.
Yeah, they don't get it. Well, whatever.
Italian.
Italian.
Italian food. Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, I guess if they're saying Italian's better, then it's a step above greaseball. So, I'll take that one, right?
Nah.
I've heard that too. You greaseballs all eat the
I've
same
never
funny
heard that
shit,
down
right?
here.
Yeah, well,
I think that's not in the lexicon
No,
here,
no.
calling somebody a greaseball.
they probably figure they get their ass kicked. That's why. Highly derogatory.
There's a ton of stuff going on down here lately. I got we've been
Really?
there's a bunch of garbage pickers coming around on garbage days. I mean, you always get that.
Yeah.
Looking around for stuff they can, use. If there's like if somebody's throwing lawn chairs out on, that's fine. Take it. An old lawnmower, maybe the guy could fix it, whatever. But now they're like opening up your garbage bags. Well, they used to have.
No, that's
It
not
used to
right.
be county garbage. So they had those big garbage pails, and a guy would come by with the truck that would dump them automatically. Then the city decided to take over the garbage because I guess they felt, oh, they're moving in on our money. So instead of them giving you garbage pails, they want you to put your garbage out at the curb in plastic bags. And then the guys come by, they jump off the back of the truck, they throw it in the truck, and they keep rolling, you know? So now we got all these creeps coming by. They tear open your garbage bags. They look around for cans. Okay? In the meantime, they wind up dumping the garbage. Sometimes you get the garbage dumped on your front lawn. When the garbage guy comes, the sanitation guy comes, he picks up the bag, the shit falls out. You come home from work and you got your shit laying all over the lawn, you know? So me, I'm making a big fucking stink, and I'm telling everybody I'm going to start waving a fucking 9mm in their face. I don't give a flying fuck, you know? And then I had a thing with the mayor because the mayor lives around the corner, but he lives in a gated community. So nobody fucks with his garbage, you know? And I'm like, why don't you pass an ordinance here and make it illegal? That way Plant City Police Department will come give tickets, arrest people. Fuck them. I don't give a shit. And then I got the tree huggers going, you know, they wouldn't be looking for that if they had, you know, if they had some money. They're trying to feed their family. It's like, go feed your family in another fucking town, please. Go away. Yeah, right.
Whose fault?
No.
Is that my fault? No. So I guess you guys don't recycle. You don't do recycling?
There's plenty of room in the landfill. Trust me. You know,
okay. All right. No, I'm just saying because we had a guy, you know, we do the recycling thing, you know, and we've had guys on the block, and then you go right for the recycling bin and say, no, that's where the cans and bottles are. So, you know, it's a lot easier.
I actually wouldn't mind doing that. I have a recycling bin sitting there. I never use it. You know, it's like when I go to the supermarket, they ask me if I want paper or plastic. So I tell them plastic's good. I'm 60 years old. By the time the landfill's full, I'll be long gone. And they just the kids just look at me like, you're terrible.
Yeah, New York. Right. New York is now, you know, the plastic. Yeah,
they charge you guys, right?
Next year for not Nassau yet. Suffolk, and they pass it to the city. Nassau will be next year. Be 5 cents a bag.
One of my friends was talking about CVS. You know. They charge them like I think they charge like a nickel a bag at CVS in Suffolk County.
Right.
But
bag,
you know, when you go to CVS, the receipt that you get is like 10 feet long.
Oh yeah. I know. It's like I can wallpaper my room with 3 of them. Like, it's like that's not a waste of paper though, or ink. No, not at all.
So, I don't know. It's crazy.
I know. The worst is like, even Sears. You go to Sears and they give you like 4, and they're like, like, what the hell is all this shit? I know, but it's like, where's the receipt from today? It's that one
it's a survey and this and that. It's like, okay, you guys are real. You know, you're really worried about the environment.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
All right, brother.
Whatever.
I am.
All right, man. We'll
catch you next week.
We'll keep in touch. Okay.
See you guys.
Bye, Vince. Catch you guys later.
Just hit the X on the top.
Hold the button. I don't have an X on the top. I got a different screen up there. I got info. Boink. Oh yeah, I know how to.